So now we're going to take a look at control examples. Controls, hydrological controls. What holds a river up or causes rapids, ponds. So this example here, you can see there's a long reach and boulders and an unstable cliff or bank, which is also contributing to the control and changing the control at times. So this control has large boulders, so fairly stable unless there's a major flood. So if this is causing a rapid at this point, we've got some loose gravel coming off the cliff, which potentially can change this relationship between stage and flow. But the control is relatively stable because of these big boulders. And it's, as you can see as we look upstream to the site, it's keeping it relatively stable there. Here's a long reach of a river here. And you can see in places where there's a long reach like this and bends, the bends are a higher stage control or channel control. Here's the actual site where we do our gaugings, and downstream you'll see a riffle here. So this is the channel control turns into a section control. So the section of the river bed is the control here, where the banks and bends are the channel control. You can see we've got a bedrock control here, which is mainly natural with a little bit of artificial concrete at one side. So this is holding up our pond where our staff gauge and recorder is. So very stable section control, but the channel control, which is the higher grass, banks and trees, can be unstable and can change with a flood. Here's a larger river, long reach, and here's the control for this section of the reach, which is some big boulders at this side here, fairly stable. But if you look at the far bank, the left bank where the dogs are running around, there's gravel and rocks, loose smaller rocks and grass, which can change, wash out in a flood. And downstream, so you've got the channel control of willow trees and grass banks subsiding. There's a change in your rating, change in the control. And over on the other bank we've got fairly loose gravel, again can change around easily with floods as the bars move. Another higher stage control this side of course is the bridge, and debris like so this logs catching on it, changing the relationship. Smaller streams, grassy banks, this is man-made channel obviously, fairly stable apart from the grass changing, but the very fine looser gravel here, the control being at this point, can change very easily with a higher flow. So quite an unstable site, needing a lot more gaugings. Downstream of the site too, you can see there's bars, river bars of gravel and grassy banks. Here's another shot of that fairly fine gravel as a control for this site. So this could change quite easily in a larger event. And here it is an attempt to make this a little bit more solid with some boulders and rocks, which is helping, but again would change very, very easily on a larger flow. So this would constantly be changing. This side here, we've got grass in the middle, flowing around the sides. This relationship can change easily. So at this site, they've put in some fairly major boulders and a broad crested weir at the bottom end to try and control the site where the water's being recorded. So this has helped, but of course it's very insensitive because of that broad crested weir there. Here's another example of a site where the grass, long grass on the sides can really affect the flow relationships and the control. Here you've got a bar running through the middle, so that's that's changing and moving up and downstream with floods. Long reaches like this, there's no actual bed control if you like, but the willows and the banks at the side are doing most of the channel control here at higher flows. Here's a Samoan site, bedrock, a lot of volcanic sites here, so they're very stable. The pond where the recorder's located, the staff gauge, but a nice little channel leading out. So quite a sensitive site, confined like it is, and very stable. It does collect leaves, of course. You need to keep it sort of clean of branches and things like this. Here's a good solid site again, bedrock, boulders, quite confined, so fairly sensitive to the stage flow relationship. Other sites are a bit broader, but still overall not a bad spot.